Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of VVR, where I'm going to be attempting another Bob Ross challenge. This time, I actually made a list of things that Bob Ross just does not tell you, or even William Alexander, his teacher. So now, no disrespect, obviously, to both of them. I love Bob Ross, and William Alexander obviously has his own fair share of great accomplishments throughout their lives. This is just to help everyone that wants to paint to kind of, they want to paint landscape features such as like a Bob Ross inspired painting, or if you just want to paint your scenery in the backyard. This is just a way to help you see things that maybe if you're stuck or just not able to produce the right quality in your artwork, then this, hopefully my videos will help you get there. Now, I am not an expert painter per se. I've only been doing this for about like 3 months, just all using only oil paints, I should say. Yeah, I did a painting after this one where actually I think I'm getting to understand more of the methodology, but for now, let's get right into it. So the prep. So as you can tell, my room is extremely messy, and that's because I don't have a house to call my own at the moment. I'm currently renting out a room, and it is my center of my little universe here. In a few months' time, though, I will be getting my own house where I will actually have a better equipped studio and just more room to do things, because right next to on my left side there's my art studio, and I have my combined art studio with my music studio, and on my right side is actually a giant queen size bed that doesn't allow me to do much. So hopefully in the next couple months I would be getting my house so I can actually do things. Anyway, moving on from that, I wanted to talk about the prep. As you can tell, like I was saying, in my room, normally I would have a giant plastic covering everything. For right now, I've been pretty careful with how I handle it, so paint doesn't smear everywhere, and like how not to get things all over my new TV and like all over my guitars and my my amplifiers here. Basically trying to keep a nice and cleanly studio as best as I can in my current living situation. But for those of you who are just starting out, I would definitely throw a drop cloth on here, like a plastic drop cloth that's like $4 or even less than that at a Home Depot, just to like cover up things that you don't want to get paint on. I've been pretty careful with how I apply it. I don't know if you can see my drawing table, I actually would put the canvas on there first and apply the gesso, and just apply it 2 times, wait for it to dry, and very slowly just get the rhythm of applying it. That would be the way that I would add the gesso effect and the liquid white, so that it doesn't cover my entire room with unwanted paint. Now, moving on from that, the easel. So an easel is something that is, I would definitely say it's necessary if you want to do something like this. You don't, for the fact of me standing up, it's a lot easier for me to like maneuver and do my, my lunges and my kicks. As I move around my room, I like to work on an easel. That's my personal preference. But if you like to work while sitting down and maybe an easel is not affordable to you, Michael's over here in America, or I guess all over the United States, Michael's stores, arts and crafts stores, I guess, they have a small little drawing, I guess, easel that can actually orientate itself 90 degrees, or I think less than 90 degrees, but it's still, you can set it on your table and it would, it fits, I think, anything between like a 12 by 12 canvas or something like that. I don't know, I could be wrong, but check it out at your local Michael's store. I think it's like less than $40. If that's something that's more affordable to you than a drawing easel, and obviously the space you need to consider as well. So just work with what you got. Apart from there, I'm actually using a bucket. You can't see it, and actually I might make a separate video about this, because getting into the flow of painting and just like overall getting used to working with oil colors. It can be a mess, it can be a drag, obviously. But there's a Home Depot bucket. Obviously, I buy everything from Home Depot just because I know the store very well. I know what they have and what I can get. But the Home Depot bucket, I actually put a plastic cloth around it, so like a garbage bag, and mainly because the garbage bags there were more expensive. But ideally, you would use a black garbage bag that would contain all the liquids that would fall in there, and basically anything, um, any liquids would just go into the bag already that's inside the bucket. And from there, I have a smaller bucket with a mesh sheet. It's like a mesh grill. It's like a metal grill with like a, just like metals laying over each other that have holes in it, perforated, I guess. And I cut around that so that it fits inside the smaller bucket that I have inside the bigger bucket. Now, the reason for that is as I'm cleaning my brushes, I want to be able to scrape off as much paint as possible from the brush. And that little bucket obviously has odorless paint thinner in it, so that I would just scrape around along the grills and get as much paint as I can. In the middle of the bucket, I have a plastic PCP pipe, I guess. I didn't screw it into the middle part, so I just literally forced it in there in the middle of it, so that I can do the whole beating the brush method on there. So my process would be going into the small bucket, scraping off as much paint as I can, and then going on top of that over to this little bar that I have attached to the not attached, but like in the middle of the bucket. Now I would just beat the brush on there, and on the rim of the bucket, I actually have a metal. It's a grill that's made to get paint off a roller. Essentially, I would rub the bristles on that, so any paint thinner that is still on the brush would obviously fall off. So it's just a way to just get all the paint thinner so it could all fall into the bucket inside the bag. So right now, that's kind of my setup for getting the brushes clean, because as you're doing this, working as best as you can with cleaning your brushes and achieving a flow of actually getting this accomplishment, accomplishing a painting, it can be pretty daunting if you don't know where to start. So I might make a separate video about that and just kind of talk about how I made this bucket, how much it costs, and all that stuff. Anyway, apart from that, we have the spirit cleaner, or the odorless paint thinner. Home Depot has many different types of odorless paint thinners, and honestly, it's all about experimenting. The art supply stores, you can pretty much get something equivalent to $5 over at Home Depot for more, I would say. But I mean, I'm experimenting as well, so I'm not sure which one really is the best one to go with. I'm just trying to find one that's not gonna overwhelm my senses as I'm painting, and cause me to get nausea or whatever. And so far, I've bought two, and I'm just trying them out. So I would just say start small. Start with like a small, like definitely less than a gallon of odorless paint thinner, and work from there. Work with what you think would help you out, and obviously ask people at your hardware store, even just like, hey, what I'm trying to clean my paintbrushes. What should I use? And hopefully they can give you a pretty good recommendation. That's obviously pretty good to your bottom dollar there. And plastic, definitely go buy plastic as well. It's like $2 for like 3 rolls or something like that. Drop cloths, it's really good stuff. So all that stuff will definitely pay off in dividends as you paint or get into oil painting. Now, the canvas itself, you can get a canvas anywhere. I got, I believe, 4 canvases from Michaels for $10, and then I got 5 canvases at Blick's for $20. Now, the difference is just the sizes that I got, and I take it over with Blick's that it's primed, I guess, professionally and better than the ones at Michaels. During my experience of actually trying to attempt a Bob Ross Challenge painting, I've realized that it doesn't really matter. I mean, I've come to that understanding. It doesn't really matter which one you use. It's just as long as you apply the gesso. Now, the gesso, obviously, that I've hinted on in the last video, or I'm pretty sure I talked about it. And even if you follow along with the Bob Ross videos or tutorials that Bob Ross even does himself, he tells you how to apply the gesso or what it's for, and the liquid, applying the liquid white. So I would apply 2 coats to the canvas of the gesso. So I'd apply 1 coat, let it dry, and then apply another coat and let that dry. And after that, applying the liquid white. Once everything is dry, I would apply liquid white all throughout the canvas and make sure that it's very thin and it's not extremely, how do I say this, spotty or blotchy. Like, it's covered evenly in a very even thin layer. If you have an excessive amount of the liquid white, just use your paint knife and just scrape along off it and put it back in the tube. At least that's what I do. Helps you save liquid white for next time. As opposed from that, I've said before that the Bob Ross kit comes with everything you need to start off with. And I mean, if you want to just start off and just, dip your foot into oil painting, that's probably the best way to go. Later on, you'll actually discover that there are different paints for different uses. More professional paints will actually do more things. They are more flexible and more, how do I say this? The quality just speaks for itself, I guess. You'll know what I mean if you ever try a Bob Ross paint set versus, I don't know, something like Zenliner or Michael Harding's paint or whatever. Anyway, definitely go with the Bob Ross kit. Less than $100, and will definitely get you just starting off and just seeing if this is something you'd want to invest in, and go from there. So the liquid clear does not come in the kit, not that I'm aware of. Now, depending on which Bob Ross video you're trying to attempt or trying to follow, he would either use liquid white or liquid clear. Now, the difference in liquid white and liquid clear is that liquid white obviously has white on it. It's a white color, so it will create a foundation for white effects to go, or for your canvas to stay white. Now, the liquid clear makes it so that you could actually move any paint that you want. For example, if you want to put like green or black on your canvas after it's primed, you can use the liquid clear to actually spread it around even more. Spread that color even more so it can remain thin. Now, that's the only information I've got on it. I still haven't used liquid clear yet, so I'm not sure all the ins and outs. But from my understanding, it's just to push the paint further in the beginning stages of prepping your canvas, the underlying background color. Now, moving on from that, the palette, as you notice, as he starts off every painting, he says, we'll go along with the colors that we have here, and we'll go around. The colors will appear on the screen in the same order that he has it on his palette. Sometimes that's not the case. Some colors would be in different spots, but mainly they are grouped how they come on the video. The main thing that you should definitely focus on is that colors that he puts together are meant to be blended together. So as you apply your paint tube, get your paint tube and just like apply the paint onto your palette. He's grouped dark colors together that he's going to use on the top, and then he puts the lighter colors that are very sensitive to those dark colors. Obviously, if you mix like the red into the yellow, the red will overpower yellow and white obviously very quickly. So he has those separated for a reason, and they're just closer in value and hue, I should say. So that's the reason for that. So moving on from there, if you notice how he starts his painting, he works in layers. You want to start with very, very thin paint first. My mistakes that I realized after painting quite a few of these Bob Ross paintings or whatever, or trying to recreate a couple, I've used heavy amounts of paint, and I basically started mud mixing in the first stages, in the first layer, before I even started applying any effects or like any of the highlight colors, and that was my biggest mistake. So you always want to start off very, very thin and then work from there. Apart from that, the thin to thick ratio should always be thin background, and then you start to layer on whatever colors you want. So I don't know if you saw in the video, but the little highlight of the little sun in there, I applied quite a few white onto that part and then kept spreading it around until I got the right value that I wanted to just leave on there. So and then just keep working it out from there. Now keep doing it until you get the desired effect that you like, and then work out from there. So this can definitely take a lot of practice, usually practicing your X strokes, practicing how much paint actually goes on the bristles. He actually talks about that stuff in his videos. And yeah, you just go from there. So with layering, if you notice, he actually works in a very specific way. He usually starts with the working from the background to the foreground, meaning he would either start from the top or the bottom, wherever he would decide where the background would be, and then he pulls everything to the front. That's usually the way that a lot of landscape paintings are made, so that it's made to make your eye wander onto further into the canvas, as in like taking your eye through a journey into it. So in his videos, he usually would start off with the top, working at the top in the background, and then pulling everything towards the bottom of the canvas, as in to lead your eye that way as well. So when you're layering, you also want to think about where is this all leading to? I've watched a lot of Bob Ross videos, and I've seen most of them have this method of layering, making a background very thin, then layer paint, keep layering paint and paint and paint as you move on to the foreground. Now, apart from that, if you want to get started doing Bob Ross paintings, find a painting that you actually like to do. So for me, I've saved a couple on my YouTube account under a playlist, and I just circle through those, and I would watch them 3 or 4 times before I even attempt a painting, so that I would study it beforehand, figure out how what his process is, and break it down from there before I go into it cold feet. Because if I do, I usually I end up making a mess out of everything, and it just becomes worse for everyone. For just myself and just everyone that's just like watching this, it gets bad. So in essence, find a video you like and go from there. Go like study a video that you actually want to paint, figure out what he's doing, how he's doing it, and then you can try to attempt the painting. Now, something that I did before was actually I went to Michael's and I actually got like these little 6x6s. No, sorry, I think they're like 9x9s, like little square canvases. So I can just practice it. The main thing is just practice, right? I would take a video that I would like, and I would just practice it on the small one. And if I somehow got close to what he was doing, then I would attempt it on the bigger canvas. So it's all about moving in small steps, right? Like moving in what you can handle and working from there. Now, something I did forget to mention is in the beginning stages, when he puts the paint onto his palette, he would actually take his knife and actually thin out the smush down the paint, so that he's got a glob on the top, and then it's thinned out with his knife, so that it's easier for him to, instead of going into the big glob of paint with the brush, he can just go into the smaller thin layer that he created with his knife to apply the paint, for backgrounds and all that stuff. It's just a lot easier. It's just a helpful tip there that can help you finish or just even get started with these paintings. Now, a couple of home inventions. Like I said, the bucket is it's something that I made up. I wanted to work cleaner. I've started with like a smaller, like the small bucket that I have inside the big one, and this can become a huge mess if you don't take care of things properly. So always think about not only the space that you're working in, but ventilation as well. Working in a flow, I guess, So after you're done using your brush, how do you clean it the most effective way possible, so you can continue on to your painting? Because if you don't, what ends up happening is that you spend a lot more time cleaning your brush than actually working on your canvas, and it would halt your process. So you want to try to figure out your strengths and weaknesses for what you can and can't do effectively, and work on those, and just slowly start getting the use of working with your brushes, making X strokes, making working with your palette knife, working with your fan brush, and just going from there. Now, at the end of this video, it's coming up here pretty soon, like in another minute, I will put on the finished painting at the end of this video, like I did with the last one. And yeah, this has been a pretty fun little project. I hope you guys liked it. And yeah, I'll catch you on the next one. Thank you very much. And if you enjoy my content, please like and subscribe. And yeah, that's it. See you later. Bye-bye.